Okay, call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Item 2, approval of the minutes for March 1st. Any comments?
None. Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 3, communications, still none, I assume? Okay. Item 4, unfinished business, none. Item 5, new business. A, Martha Brophy, 1103 River Reserve Drive, Heartland, reconsideration of possible action on a request for approval of a retaining wall less than 5 feet from a lot line at the property located at N20W29966 Glen Cove Road.
I put the location up on the screen. It's near the west end of the West Glen Cove Drive, near the cul-de-sac there. This is an aerial from 2020. Yeah, currently it is a vacant lot. The house has been removed from that particular lot. The grading plan indicates that they're going to build a new house on the lot, and the retaining wall is on the east side of the lot. It's going to be 2.5 feet off the lot line as proposed. I don't have the materials, but the plan is to, as far as the drainage goes, and that's what I look at a lot. It's within 5 feet, so we have to review this and approve it, take into consideration any comments from the neighbors. The drainage for this particular site is basically going to be between the retaining wall and the home, and it goes to the north to the lake. They've got a swale in this area between the wall and the home. It looks pretty shallow based on the contours, so I'm recommending, I believe this is the one I'm recommending, that the swales be at least 1 foot deep in order to handle the heavier rains in there. But so this lot is higher than the lot below it. The lot below it will not. The drainage does go towards the lot line, shown by these contours, and eventually out to the lake. I don't think that the wall will negatively affect the drainage on the adjacent lot to the east. So subject to any comments from the neighbors, I'm recommending that this be approved, subject to my comment of having at least a 1 foot minimum deep swale along the wall.
So the water would stay on top of the wall and on their property?
In essence, between the wall and the house.
Okay.
It won't run along the top of the wall there.
But it won't run over the wall?
Correct, as proposed. But I'd like to make sure it's at least a foot deep. If we have some of the heavier rains, that we occasionally have, it would be nice to at least, it goes down the hill pretty quickly towards the lake, but it could run in such a way that, at least it won't go to the neighbor. A lot of times in these cases, without the wall, they would have a joint swale along the lot line. But a lot of times, if the neighbor is relatively flat, the one neighbor to the east is flat, and then the slope from this house goes down towards that flat, the water runs on the neighbor's property. So I like the way it's designed now to have a swale basically incorporated into the specific property where the house is being built.
Any other questions or comments?
The only other thing would be materials. If we want to, we can ask about materials. It's the request, or our code requires that they indicate materials. Do you know what they are? No?
No, but I said it'd be like a keystone block, but I don't know for sure. That's normally what we're using.
Okay.
And there were no comments from the neighbor?
Oh. I don't think, did we receive any?
They're here.
Okay.
If they have any comments, they can speak.
Yeah, if you have any comments, please bring them up.
This may look like
Stand behind and use the mic.
I will, but these were our questions.
Okay. Handouts, excellent.
Well, this is our one chance apparently, so, and I'm gonna be one short, so.
We can share.
Thank you.
Lots of big fun too. Aw, thank you.
I'm Marilyn Swantek. We live next door on the east side, and my husband Tom, and I guess I'm talking, but he probably knows more than I do about the technical things. And we really don't know that we are putting up any objections, but this is our one chance to ask questions, so we thought we better ask questions now. So I can go through these, and you can tell me if they're appropriate or not appropriate, if you want to try to answer them, or I guess I don't know the procedure here, so tell me what I should do.
Jim, do we want to get, are you here for the landowner? We should give
Oh, did you get a copy?
Here, you can take my copy.
Yeah,
We keep,
We'll share.
yeah.
Do you want to call him up?
Yeah, do you want to just try to handle the questions up at the mic?
that would be great.
And you can have the mic, and you can have a seat again,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, in case you have more questions.
I'll just run down the list they've supplied. Number one, in general, is it necessary to put in a retaining wall? Why is it necessary that close to the lot line? Well, if we didn't have a retaining wall, the land from the house to their lot line would slope straight down to them, so all the water would go on their property. So the reason for the retaining wall is to keep all the water on the Brophy's property. In between, why is it that close to the lot line? Well, we need enough room between the house and the wall to create a swale to take the water to the lake. If it was any closer, we wouldn't be able to build that swale, plus to be able to get around the property. If it was closer to the house, more land would be on the side of the neighbor, which would potentially have water from the roadside come onto their property. So we're trying to achieve all the property, all the drainage to stay on Brophy's property. How does the construction of the proposed retaining wall affect our property? Well, it shouldn't affect your property, and actually it should correct any current drainage that's going onto your property, so it actually would help any current situation. Do we understand correctly that
Can I
this?
just ask a follow-up on that?
Sure.
Do you need to be on their property physically to put the wall up?
No.
Okay.
Do we understand correctly that this retaining wall will be between 2.5 feet from the lot line? Yes. Is that referring to the wall center line? No, that's to the edge. The inside edge, so it'll be 2.5 feet from the lot line to where the retaining wall, the face of the retaining wall. And then the retaining wall is probably 12 inches deep, 8 to 12 inches deep, depending on the type of block that's used, which again, Keystone is typically the type of block that's being used. Will that be the exact location? Yes, just like on the survey that was submitted. If it is placed as proposed, will it be necessary to use machinery excavator to install a wall? Yes. If footings are poured for the retaining wall, precisely how there are no footings. You just lay down a gravel base, stone base, you dig out, put a stone base, and then the wall sits on a stone base. What recourse do we have if the proposed wall does not affect the range of the property? I guess that's not a question for me, but we're going through this process to make sure that the water is being designed to stay on their property and go towards the lake, or in the front of the house in some cases to the road. How high will the proposed retaining wall be at various points of length? I think it's only from 0 to a few feet high, right, Tim? Wasn't it like?
Yeah, I measured, I think at the highest point was 3 feet, I think I said.
So worst case scenario is we might have to slightly go up if you want to add that, make sure that we're 1 foot deep on the swale. I mean, there might be a little tweak there, but maybe not.
I think you can probably deepen the ground more so
Yeah, okay,
than up the wall, or make the wall higher.
okay. How will it be viewed from your property, I assume that means? From North 20? Well, you'll see anywhere from 0 to 3 foot decorative wall along that, just like the survey shows. So you'll kind of be seeing the side of that or the face of it. You'll probably see you'll see the wall. How will this variance, if approved, affect the buildability on our property in the future? Well, that's a question for Tim, but as a builder, it wouldn't affect you at all, in my opinion. But Tim or someone else can answer that. So those are the answers to those questions. Unless you have any other ones, I'm happy to answer them.
What is the length of the wall? Is it the
Tim's like
black line?
100,
I've got 120 feet.
120 feet, yeah.
Must be something else.
Okay.
But it's 60 feet on the drawing. I'm confused about that. On the site plan?
You know, I think you're right. I think it's only 60 feet.
Oh,
So it doesn't go to the full front of the house?
It goes from the front of the garage to midway back on the house.
Yeah, it is the black line. It is the black line.
The point is, what's going to stop the water from flowing over to their property? You have the swell in.
Are you saying at the front of the property, like the roadside?
No,
The front of
no,
the property is the lakeside.
Going down the hill.
Well, we're going to
After the
continue
wall
to, we're
ends.
going to continue to swale that.
I
As you could,
assume the side yard drop-off isn't as steep.
it'll be flatter, yeah. Once you get past the wall, it's flat. I mean, mostly flat, right? If you see the contour lines that go from Brophy's lot onto this neighbor's lot, you see they kind of, there's a contour that connects all the way down to the water. So all of that water goes straight down to the lake. It's just in this area where we need a wall to make sure that we can capture the water on our property. The rest of it will naturally go because the whole lot pitches at the lake. So,
And if I understand where the wall ends, then at the 2/3 of the way through the new house, it's actually behind the neighbor's house. So if they were on their front deck, they wouldn't see the wall at all.
oh, yeah, of course. Front meaning lakeside,
Lakeside.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're on the lakeside of it.
right?
It's really between the garage and the house, okay. Tim, do you want to see what would the answer to question 6 be? What are if the, I guess,
Buildability is
Typically, what
number- oh.
happens is that we would, if there was a concern about drainage, the town gets notified, I go out into the field. We look at this grading plan, and we make sure that it's done correctly. And that's really it. We work with the builder to make sure that typically that water is contained on that property. As it goes to the lake, though, currently that water is basically either on the lot line or a little bit onto the neighbor's lot line as it goes towards the lake. And so that's not really being touched when you go north of the proposed house. They're gonna do the swale until they get to the north side of the house, and then it just continues on as it has in the past.
So it's just gonna sheet flow once it gets past that swale?
There's a little bit of a swale there, but not much of one, I'll say that. It won't be in a real tight swale, but it'll be in kind of more of a shallow gully, I would say, going to the lake, in the heavy storms. But in essence, it would sheet flow towards the lake, yeah.
And is that our building inspector's responsibility to enforce this grading plan, or since it's in the shoreline, is that the county's responsibility?
Well, I think we both approve it. I think we both would probably be out on site for if there was a complaint on that. Typically, the neighbors call the town because they live in the town.
Right.
So we get the first call on it and try to resolve it. But the idea is if we got a plan and the plan shows that it works, then that's what we go by.
So regarding the length of the wall now, is it gonna be the 60 as it's shown?
yes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just rescaling this. I have a different a drawing here, but I scaled wrong on this one, so. $60 is correct.
Yeah, I think the idea here is to use the wall to keep the neighbor's water from coming onto your yard. So that's a plus, clearly.
And if at some point, so in our neighborhood, what seems to be happening is the kids of the people that are our age are building new houses in the same place where their parents used to live. And so now what if our children and grandchildren wanted to do that? Could they build a house that upgrades like this one would be?
The same side yard setbacks and things like that would apply to your lot as that applies to the Brophy lot, so, yeah.
So there's, the only other question on my mind is, the house, the new house is located about as far to the east as it can go, 8 foot from the property line, which leaves more on the other side. And
Yeah.
Is there a reason why it should be that far over?
I can only defer to the county. Waukesha County deals with because it's along the lake, the Waukesha County deals with the offsets, the side yard setbacks on each side. So typically, a builder would come in and they make a request as to what those could be, and if they meet the code, then they can build the house where they want to there. And I actually don't know what the county's requirement is on this lot.
Well, and it
off the top
also
of my
looks like it's 8 feet, the house is 8 feet from your property line, but 9 to 10 feet on the other side, so it's not like, it's not almost perfectly centered, to be honest.
I think on these 50-foot lots, they can have 7.5 feet. To be
Pardon?
hon- I think on these 50-foot lots, they can actually be as close as 7.5 feet to the
Yeah, but
lot
I
line.
think according to this drawing, it looks like the house is 8 feet from their property line, but
Yeah.
only 10 feet on the other side, so.
I don't see anything there. Let me just see what they,
I guess I just would like
they don't tell me.
your reiteration that somebody getting a variance to put something 2.5 feet from the lot line would not affect if we were to apply for a variance next year, and we say we want to put something 2.5 feet from the lot line, would you come back and say, no, they've already put something there?
No,
so
it would be
you can't-"
independently evaluated, and if you were putting a retaining wall 2.5 feet from the lot line to, again, create a swale to keep water on your property versus going next door, or to create a swale between the two walls, I don't think we'd have an issue with it, to be honest. But we would evaluate it just like we're evaluating this one.
Very good, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna sleep better tonight.
This was the only time we were given to discuss this, so we appreciate your time.
Glad you showed up.
Thanks for
Oh, that's great.
Any further questions among the commission?
Motion to approve the variance for the Brophy retaining wall, subject to the 1-foot swale.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 5B, Carl Tomich, Westridge Builders, reconsideration and possible action on a request for approval of retaining walls less than 5 feet from the easterly and westerly lot lines of the proposed property located at N26W30227 Maple Avenue.
All right. First thing here's the plat of survey. Let me put up the aerial so you know where this is at. This is on Maple Avenue. It is the former site of several restaurants. The last one being what, Golden Anchor?
That was the first one. but maybe
I
it's-
don't
And the last one.
And the last
What
one.
was that?
It was the first one and the last one.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a new house there. This is the plat of survey. Currently, the house is there. The wall is, they have a wall on the east side, right along the driveway here. And then the wall, there's a wall to the north of the building. That's a higher wall, and then it turns and goes to the south. This has been already installed. The wall on the east side is as close as 0.55 feet at this point. On this end is 1.5 feet, 1.15 feet. The other side is 1.76 feet to the wall on that. Let let me get a couple of pictures up here. So that's a picture of the wall on the east side. One thing I want to point out is that the land, that the neighbor's land here actually drains, and this area where it's seated here, it actually drains to the wall. It's a rock wall kind of in cages. They call them gabions. And so any water that comes off of this property is going to actually likely get into the rock or get onto this pavement here and then go towards the lake.
Is the gravel at the bottom of the wall a swale, in theory?
Not really. I mean, it's just stone right now.
It's not lower than the driveway.
Not that I could tell, right. Let's see, I'm gonna go to, Carl provided, no, I don't want that one, sorry. If I can get this one up. These are a couple of pictures that Carl took. So this is that 4-foot wall that's in the corner here, and as it goes to the south, it actually goes down. That's how it steps down as you go to the south to this transformer here. So that's the west side of the house. This is looking east, so you can see the wall on the east side and the driveway that's adjacent to it. And then this is looking south towards the lake, and there's the wall on the east side, the wall on the west side there on that. So we got some responses from the neighbors via email, and there was no objection to those, at least via email. Obviously, I think everybody is concerned about drainage on this. The drainage on the east side, as I said, comes down off of this lot. Let me go back to this plat of survey for a second here.
So in both cases, it's the lower property.
It's the lower property, right.
both
It
sides.
is. So I think that helps. The only thing I would say is this asphalt driveway here gets too close to the lot line. It's supposed to be 3 feet away. And I think that, they should be shifting that over a little bit. And the drainage, it's hard to tell. That drainage kind of all went down towards the lake. And so up here, the drainage might come off to the neighbor to the east and then come back the other to the west a little bit, just based on the contours that are shown there. But as far as the retaining wall goes, I don't think it's negatively affecting any adjacent neighbor as far as drainage goes. Obviously, we know what the materials are because they're out there. As I said, they're just field stones in these baskets that are stacked up along the wall here.
And does that work better if water runs through them?
It probably will run through them. I don't know if it works better or not. They're not used that much in these kinds of situations, but I don't see it that often, but because they're usually like keystone type walls. These walls will stay for a long time. I've seen them along highways and abutments for highways where they've done it in a lot of cases.
I saw a letter to one of the neighbors in the packet. Were neighbors on both sides notified?
Yep, because there's the walls on both sides.
I only saw one letter.
They sent me it, it was just after I'd already published the.
Okay. And the comments from the neighbors were,
They were both emails saying they were okay with variance request.
It's really not a variance, it's just a notification of, because we just say you have to have a hearing in front of the plan commission for these. It's not really a variance, so we gotta be careful how we say that, but
Waiver.
we used to allow walls to be right up to the lot line until next door neighbors started complaining, and so then we put this policy or this ordinance in place to be able to notify neighbors when it's within 5 feet, that's all. And it's been a good policy because, or a good ordinance because we've had some situations where people have wanted 6-foot walls along there where someone's higher and then they're lower, and then they look out their windows and all they're seeing is a 6-foot wall. And we've had a couple of those and said, you gotta do something to maybe stagger those, things like that. That's not this case. I'm just trying to give you some history on that.
Did the original building plans have retaining walls?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
So the retaining walls were added after the county approved the site plan?
I don't know, yeah, I don't know when they were added at the time.
Do you know, sir? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Carl Tomich, Westridge Builders. This is actually my personal property. So what transpired was we went in for a building permit over a year ago, and the county has all their set of rules, and we had the house set about 3 or 4 foot higher than this, but they don't allow you to fill any property more than 42 inches. So they dropped the house down 3 or 4 feet because they have this rule, the county, 42 inches is the max you could fill. The front of the house would have had to been filled, as you can see with that retaining wall is higher than the garage. The driveway's down here and the wall's here. That was done because they required the house to be dropped 3 or 4 feet. I don't remember the exact dimension. And so, yeah, there were some retaining walls that were designed originally, but it didn't work out right, and they dropped the whole house down. So we had to come back and redesign things so it worked. Clearly, we're capturing all of our water and probably some of the neighbors on my property. But I needed enough room to be able to get, because the elevations and the house is sunk so down, to be able to get down into the driveway. So the wall needed to be moved a little closer to the lot line, just to be able to get a swing to come in the garage and to capture all the water that was coming down that driveway from Maple. I mean, there's that whole thing comes right down the driveway in between the lot line and my house, which we're working with the county now on doing a rain garden at the end of that. So we're going to be capturing all that runoff into a rain garden, like a wetland. So we're working with all the calculations on the county on swales and drainage. And right where the driveway is that Tim mentioned on the curve, right by the neighbors, it's a little closer to the lot line. The county's having us put together a plan where we're doing a slight berm right there to make sure anything coming down the driveway does not go onto the neighbor's property and it stays on our driveway. So that will have a slight berm there. And we'll also have a berm at the end of the wall on the west side along the property line, just to make sure everything's captured and stays on our property and runs down towards the lake. So there's a lot of thought that's going into it with the surveyor and the survey company and the county. I was already on the phone with them again today, getting exactly how they want it designed and how they want the grading just perfect. And I'm redoing the whole grading plan so it meets all their standards.
So you're saying, Carl, that right here, there's gonna be a berm here?
Yeah, you don't have the latest survey. The latest one's right here. There's a berm along the driveway here and one right here that it's so
And down
small you can read it. But there's that's the latest plan, but we're still tweaking it more with the county. But we're doing a berm along that curve of the driveway. See, it says, if you can read that, it says there's gonna be a berm there.
Yeah.
They're asking for actually more detail on that, like the height of the berm and the grading of that. And they want to see grading on both properties so it all ties together. We're going to do like a complete grading plan that shows the contours on the adjacent properties and how it all tied together. So it's pretty elaborate. And we have to go in front of them as well when we're done with the town. So.
Any more questions? Comments?
Well, I'm just frustrated because it seems like, I mean, it's not like this house went up yesterday. There was a lot of planning to put this house in, and there were plans that were obviously submitted previously that were approved, and then this seems like it deviates from the original plans, and I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is, because, you know, you're kind of putting a gun to our head, you know, saying, hey, it's already in, you got to approve this variance. And
Well, of course, you can make me move it. I don't want to move it, but I can move it. But you're right, I should have come in earlier. It was oversight. And I should have come to you before the wall was built, absolutely. That was an oversight on my office staff and myself.
So what's the impact on the lot if we have you move it to 5 feet?
The impact is now I have 5 feet of distance between the wall and if we're talking about the neighbor on the right, and now I have more water that will be probably running from my property onto his, and it's gonna be harder to get the driveway to swing. So it's kind of a combination. The more I can keep the wall to the property line, the more I can capture all my water coming down my driveway and run it right between the house and the property line, and then let it exit towards the lake with a rain garden. So it gives me more opportunity. There is a lot of water that runs down that driveway, right? That's that whole back half of the lot comes down that side. So it just gives us more room to create the swale and create a rain garden at the end.
What about the west side?
Well, the west side's, it is only a few feet, is not quite as close, and it's a lot shorter run. If that thing is moved over a little bit, it just gets me harder to move around the house. And frankly, I don't have the contours here, which is the county's asking for them. They're already higher. So that property is already higher on that side. They're already kind of draining towards me. So we prefer to be able to add a swale between the back of the garage and the lot line like Brophy and take the water down. So having that extra room to build that swale is what we're asking for.
You cannot build a swale if there were no wall? You have to have a wall?
No, we could build a swale there. It's just a little flat and their property's higher, and it makes it easier the way we have it now. That's really kind of a short wall there to begin with, because it angles down like that.
Well, I share Ed's frustration. I mean, I can understand the wall and the driveway side. But I understand Ed's frustration. I'm equally frustrated. It's all after the fact.
I understand.
But just out of curiosity, would we have seen, I mean, because this is dual county zoning or whatever, I mean, does the county have primary and we're secondary? I mean, I know we have to approve this, and so does the county, but you're not looking at all these
We
site
get
plans.
copies of the plot. We get copies of what's submitted to the county.
They will provide like the grading plan to me,
Okay,
and they'll say, look it over, and give them any comments that I have as they issue their zoning permit. So when the original came in, it was different and it didn't need it, you know, at
Right.
the time, so.
oh, well,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't built the way that it was originally submitted. It's changed as things were being built and things were being done, and it's just, it's troubling because there are people that follow the rules and do what they need to do, and, you know, this property has not, and it's just frustrating, and, I mean, I really want to vote against this. I really do.
The whole thing? Both sides?
Yeah, but I probably won't, but I just, you know,
I'm gonna vote against the left side, the west side, but the right side seems to at least have some merit to controlling the water because of the steepness of the driveway.
Right.
The west side is mere personal preference. You know, it'd be nice, well, it'd be nice if I was a 7-foot professional basketball player, but it's not.
Well, and you knew what the property was when you built this. I mean, you knew how long, what you needed to do to swing the driveway, and, you know, this is your profession, Mr. Tomich, you know, you know these things. This shouldn't be, you know, oversight, and, you know,
Well,
this isn't the first time you've built in the town of Delafield.
It's
so
true, but when you're building these, it's a work in progress. You don't see it all. I mean, I do this 20 years, and I'm like, when the county drops the house 3 or 4 feet lower than both neighbors, it makes it challenging. And so as I'm, you know, building this, like, okay, how do we retain the water? How do we transition from a driveway drop 4 feet from where the property should be? And it is kind of a work in progress, and it isn't necessarily 100% planned out from the get-go.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm confused. You're saying the county changed the height of the building after the original?
No, not after the original. I'm saying from the submittal, the original submittal.
In the process of review?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
That's not normal? They have changes?
Like that? No.
Okay.
That's significant. And that side of the property does have a lot of drainage. It doesn't have all the hard surface like the driveway, but it does have all that same slope, and all that side does drain. Now, again, the neighbor's higher. So, you know, it's not like I'm not capturing all my water. I am capturing all my water. I'm just trying to give myself enough room to get it down the property line and to the lake.
If my memory's correct, you built the 2 buildings to the west.
And the one on the other side, too, yeah.
Oh, you built his house too?
Yeah.
Are we in a position to ask for a final of what this is going to look like? I mean, we're talking about the grading and the berms and other changes.
You mean table
Well,
it?
the walls are in,
Yeah, I can understand that.
and we aren't necessarily having to approve the berm.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this really from a sense that if it's changed, this much.
And it's still being changed daily.
Well, the walls aren't,
Yeah.
but grading, yes. And we're working with the county, which is being very diligent on the grading, and we have to do all these calculations to build a rain garden to cover the runoff. It's quite intensive and quite elaborate with the county and the engineers over there. So they're making sure that everything is being captured correctly and swaled correctly and graded correctly, which is what we're working on with them right now before we can do the rest of the landscaping.
Would you be more comfortable tabling it until the final plans are drawn? I mean, again, it doesn't affect the wall, but it does affect
But
the
Tim,
swale. And
don't we need the approval to get the county approval? Because I got to go in the county in the next month. So does that table, it's like kind of like cart before the horse?
Well, you need approval from the town before you get the retaining walls approved by the county.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know as far as the grading goes, where the county's at with that, if you need the retaining walls approved before you get your final grading plan.
I think so.
That I don't know.
Because I can't finish the grading plan without knowing that where the walls are going to be approved. So it's kind of a cart before the horse. I have to know that the walls are okay so I can finish the grading with the county and do all the engineering with them.
So to kind of maybe answer your question is typically when we get these grading plans in, typically the staff handles it. So I would handle it with Waukesha County, the grading, and we'd make sure that it works from a staff standpoint. And we usually don't require the plan commission to approve grading plans. So from what I mean, this is an updated plan of yesterday, so I'm getting my first chance of looking at it. I have a couple of questions that I probably ask the county or Carl about, and when I get a chance, and about it. But it looks like that from a strictly drainage standpoint, they're trying to keep all the water on their property, which is what I tell everybody in the town when they're dealing with drainage is, keep your own water on your own property unless you can work with your neighbors and do a joint swale. If you can do that, then and both are happy, then that's great. But just based on this plan, I can say that for the most part, with a couple of tweaks, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna keep his water on his property, at least until it gets way down closer to the lake, on both sides. So our only issue in our mind is the wall, and it seems to me if the neighbors don't have a problem with the wall, I mean, from a strictly standpoint of the wall, I would say if the neighbors don't have a problem, I don't know why we should have an issue with that.
Because we have an ordinance that says it should be 5 feet from the side. I mean, why have an ordinance if we're not gonna?
No, we just say that, we say that if a wall is placed within 5 feet, then it has to come to the plan commission. It doesn't say that you can't do it, it just says, if you want to do it, you just have to come before the
It's the
board.
sequencing, because they did it.
It's the
before
principle
they-
of it.
Pardon?
They did it before they came to the planning
I
commission.
understand.
That's the issue.
That's a different issue, but I mean, our ordinance says you can put that wall right on the lot line if you get our approval within 5 feet. So,
Well, it's the old adage, do it and ask for forgiveness afterwards, and it just seems like there's a lot of people in this town that do that, and then there are other people who don't, and then, we're made out to be the bad guy because, I really want to tell them to rip the whole thing up and do it the right way, but I don't think that's gonna be very self-serving to me and, you know, get us what we want at the end of the day. So I don't think that's gonna be beneficial to do, but that's my position. I mean, I'm frustrated, because,
Yeah.
you know, just, you know, follow the rules. I mean, they've been around for a long time, and just ask, you know, I mean, I mean, the walls are nice. Obviously, the neighbors don't have a problem with it. It's gonna fix the drainage. So, I mean,
Yeah, if they came in in advance and asked for this, I think we, just like the last one,
it would
probably.
have been just, yeah,
A rubber stamp.
yes.
But- So, chastise them all you want, Ed. Then we should make a motion.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the variance, but note in the minutes that it's under duress and, you know,
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
You want that?
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
We'll get you a copy when it gets more finalized. Thank you.
Yeah. You both got, he got it under duress, you got to vote no. Item 5C, an easy one, hopefully. Joey and Mary Esser, N26W30255 Maple Avenue, reconsideration of possible action on a request for a certified survey map to combine lots located at N26W30255 Maple Avenue.
This is one of our classic ones where we have two old lots that are put together from an old plat, and they want to add some things to their, I think it's a pool, to their facility, to their home site. And in order to do that, the county and the town are promoting that we combine those lots, so we don't have any offset and setback related issues to that particular lot line.
So is the
This is
little
just-
yellow line?
Just
the-
up the road, I don't have it on there as the, I guess I can put up the aerial. The aerial has that. That little yellow line is
Yellow line gets
is the one in between, that's, you know, part of lot 12 and part of
10-foot
lot
lot.
13 of the old plat. So that line would be eliminated, this would all become one property here. It cleans up the lot, is
Yeah.
really what it does.
It's a
And
no-brainer.
we've been promoting to do that all in Lake, and it's actually helping a lot to do that. It's just not having all these little slices of things that we end up with. So it's working out well.
Okay. Any questions or
From a
comments?
technical standpoint, there was just a few grammatical errors. And so, and I
So does it need to
contacted
be
the
subject to
surveyor
any
and told him
technical
about that.
corrections, or?
What's that?
Does it have to be subject to any technical corrections or any comments from the county?
Yeah, they're just, and they're minor. So,
What's the date on the CSM?
December 29th, 2021.
Motion to approve the CSM dated, the date Tim just said, subject to any technical corrections and comments from Waukesha County.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5D, Tim and Lynn Zach, 1057 Chadwick Court, Aurora, Illinois, owner by Chris Miracle Landworks LLC, agent, reconsideration and possible action
December
on a request to install 2 entry driveway address monuments 11 feet from Lewis Avenue right-of-way line located at N23W28788 Lewis Avenue.
So I got the location up on the screen. It's just west of Stewart Drive and Lewis Avenue there. The house is built on that property already. And they're gonna be doing some landscaping, and so I think you've all seen this. All they're really asking for is to install 2 32-inch by 32-inch pillars on each side of the driveway, which is not in yet. It's a lot of gravel here, if you've been by it. And they're gonna be 10 feet off the right-of-way line, so they'll be a little bit further off the road than that. It's not gonna affect our snow plowing, or it doesn't affect any sight distance for vehicles coming in and out of there. The county this came from the county, basically. I mean, the county said that for whatever reason, we have to consider this and make an approval, and then that would go back to the county for their consideration as they
We have no
review this.
standards on which to
No,
approve it.
the only thing we've done in the past is, if there were to be a fence associated with this, and I think I did this one on Maple Avenue, and we had a little gate fence there, and
Yeah, 5-foot
I
fence,
think
you
we
have to-
kind of said,
5-foot
it's not even a
fence.
fence, so,
Yeah, it's a gate, yeah.
so, but this doesn't have any fence, it's just two pillars, there. It does have lights on the top, but, and they're, what did I say, 42 inches high?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. So it's not overbearing on that. Recommending approval?
Make a motion to approve the pillars in accordance with location and size shown on the landscape plan prepared by Landworks Landscape Services dated on March 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6, discussion none. Item 7, next meeting, May 3rd. Item 8,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Is that a public hearing?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
But do they need to